Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. My name is JC. If you haven't seen my face before, today's video is a collective book haul. I think the last book haul I have on my channel is from the summertime, somewhere in June. But overall, I typically buy books like 2 to 3 at a time, and I'll show you guys in random videos. But in the last 2 months, I don't know what happened. I will say that it was my birthday recently, so I also was gifted various books. So I just wanted to do a collective book haul. I love watching these. I'm very easily influenced, so watching book hauls are quite dangerous for me. I will so easily add something to a list, or honestly, just put it in my cart and buy immediately. So with that, let's get started. I'm gonna count how many books I have to haul, because I haven't done that yet. There are 30 books in here. And guys, I've taken out, I'm pretty sure, the ones that I've shown in videos. Okay, now we can get started. Oh my gosh, 30 books. That's ridiculous. I'm gonna take these down just so it's easier for me to ultimately show you guys. Let's add some Christmas in here, why not? I don't want to tip it off the edge. So this will be in no particular order because I don't really remember where I got certain books or when I got certain books. So I'll speak more on the ones that I know what they're about, and if I don't, well, you have the title and the author. First up, we have Fairy Tale by Stephen King. I think this is about a high school kid who, his mother had passed away when he was younger, so he learned to take care of himself and his dad. And one day he meets a dog and the owner. The owner is quite old. He starts doing various jobs for the owner, and then the owner dies. And he leaves a cassette tape for the kid and telling him a story. And I feel like it's just going to be dark and twisted, as Stephen King does. Next up, we have Dune by Frank Herbert. I feel like this is going to be perfect for my read and watch series. I think someone also recommended it, but I haven't read this book. I haven't watched the movie, so I feel like going in completely blind will be really fun and different from the Harry Potter episode I did, because at least with the Harry Potter, I've watched all the movies before. I know what happens, but here, totally blind. Next up, we have The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Now, I've only heard people talk about this in a sense that they've read the book and they like it or they don't, but I really don't know too much about what it's about. So I think it is set in New England college university setting. It is about a group of students, kind of misfits, learning things. I don't really know, but that's what I've gathered. Next up, we have Defy the Night by Bridget Kimmerer. I hope I'm saying that right. But I've seen this pop up on my Bookstagram so much recently, and honestly, when I hear people rave about books, I want to read them. Not even the hype, but it's just someone being passionate about something gets me excited. So this is what happened here. I'm not really sure what it's about, but I picked it up. Oh, I'm excited about this next one. I picked up Vow of Thieves. This is the second book in the Dance of Thieves, Vow of Thieves duology. I recently read Dance of Thieves. I gave it 4.5 stars. Absolutely loved it and knew I needed this book immediately. Now, do you guys notice the sticker? It's signed. It is signed. Where do I find her signature? Too many. Oh my god. Guys. I'm a happy camper. So overall, this is I'm trying to think if it's actually fantasy. I mean, I'm sure it is. A fantasy, romance, found family, kind of this element of politics. I loved our 2 main characters. You do a POV as well, I believe. Yes. I can't wait to read this. Okay, I already read these ones, but I had to get the physical copies because I read them all from my library, and that is the Caraval trilogy. If you've watched my weekly reading vlogs where I was reading these, you would know how much I love this trilogy and the follow-on continuation with the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. So I definitely recommend these, and I always recommend that if you first read Caraval and you don't absolutely love the world, get the vibes, then I highly recommend following on with Legendary at least halfway through. Give it a shot, because that is the book that really made me fall in love with this story and the characters and the world so much, to where I definitely had to see everything through. So I love this trilogy so much, and now I have the books on my shelves. Well, I say shelves. Guys, I don't have bookshelves, but that's fine. Next up is Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer. I haven't read anything by this author, but I know that this is a sports romance series. So I think this is the first book, and then she's coming out with a second in the same universe. So this is following an NHL goalie with a no dating rule. Okay. But ultimately, he ends up having this live-in assistant where she actually had a crush on him when they were in high school. And he's grumpy. She had an idea of a music career that got ended by her ex, boo. So she takes on this position. I'm excited. I'm so excited for this book. I've been wanting to read it since it came out, I think in like September, maybe August. It's been out for a few months and I was just like, I want to read it in the wintertime. I'm excited. Can you tell? Following on with hockey, I'm finally going to pick up Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I have been dying to pick up this book, but I think I learned about it in February or March. The point is, I knew I also wanted to read it during the winter months, so it's here. I finally have it. I am so excited. I know that it is about a main female character who really wants to be a figure skater on Team USA, and so she's training with her partner in the same rink and like arena that the hockey team, the local college hockey team, practices at, and there's some mix up with the schedule. Her partner gets injured and the hockey team captain steps up to help her. Now it's also Grumpy Sunshine, but she's the grumpy one and he's the golden retriever sunshine boy. Like, I feel like this is gonna be so cute. Okay, let's get the Christmas books out of the way. Let's just group them all together. So I have Always in December by Emily Stone. I think this is about a woman who her parents had passed away around Christmas or something, and so every year since, she sends them a letter like to their old address. It never gets a response, but I think it's a coping mechanism. And so this year she's going to mail out the letter and she runs into a bicyclist named Max, and do they end up spending the holiday together? Yeah. But then Max disappears. Max is the worst. But they have these random encounters over the next year or so, and so they just have multiple interactions. I think it's an element of second chance. I'm definitely interested to see this. I feel like it's just going to be such a sweet, sweet story. Oh, and like the thing is, the last sentence says, a devastating, romantic, life-affirming love story. Always in December will stay with readers long after they finish the last page. And that's kind of how I feel about One Day in December by Josie Silver, I think. Like, that book was just so beautiful to me and a very good romance in the winter time. That's what this, I feel like, is reminding me of. Then we have Snowed In for Christmas by Jacqueline Snow. This is kind of different for me. It's two adults. I think she is supposed to be this like sorority mom, very bubbly, quirky. He, I think, is like a high school football coach. Doesn't really care for dating. They've kissed. He got awkward after they kissed. They're neighbors, but then there's a snowstorm and he offers to like let her stay with him to like ride it out or something, and she's like, well, like, what's the worst that can happen, right? Like, maybe we'll just have fun for a few days, you know, kiss a little or whatever. I feel like it's gonna be obviously them learning more about each other, so we'll see. Then we have Meet Me Under the Mistletoe by Jenny Bayless. So I haven't read anything by this author either, but I believe this says it perfectly up top. A city bookshop owner heads to English countryside for a holiday reunion, only to face her childhood enemy. So it's a London bookshop girly. We love her, and she goes to her hometown for a holiday reunion for a wedding, and she runs into her high school enemy, and those two are forced to kind of spend time together through the week leading up to the wedding and like all those wedding festivities and such. And I feel like it'll just be a fun, lighthearted holiday romance. Then I have The Wake Up Call by Bethel Larry. I've heard a lot about this author, but I haven't read anything by her. And I think this is about two hotel receptionists that find a box of wedding rings, and they're having this competition to return them to the owners. I mean, they kind of need the hotel to also stay open, so they're kind of fighting for their jobs as well, and they're kind of arch rivals. It's gonna be cute. And I think I like that this one, as like a holiday romancy book, isn't super Christmas focused. Like, it's not about Christmas Eve in a small town. Oh my god. But the next book that I'm gonna talk about. Okay, well, never mind, we're gonna continue. But I just like that this one, I think, is a kind of different holiday setting romance. The last one I picked up is The Christmas Wager, which was exactly what I was going to describe, and it is set in a small town where our main female character is from Los Angeles, I think, and she's a real estate agent, and she's really targeting this small Christmas shop in some small mountain town or something. So she shows up, she ends up running into or having to deal with the shop owner's grandson, and so he strikes up a deal with her where whoever wins the holiday Christmas games in, what is this called? Maple Falls? Yeah, in Maple Falls, then whoever wins those games gets to decide the selling price. And I feel like there's going to be love involved, and they're going to be enemies and then lovers, and it's going to be great. Okay, similar to the Caraval trilogy, I also picked up The Naturals. Oh, that doesn't help you, huh? I also picked up The Naturals, so I absolutely loved this series as well. If you watch the reading vlogs, I talked a lot about them, and I flew through these books, so I had to have the actual copies as well. I really just read them from my library. I devoured them. And I would love to read them again and again. Like, they were just so fun to me. It is following a group of teenagers who were hand-selected by the FBI to partake in a classified program, and essentially these teenagers have enhanced abilities that the FBI would care about, like profiling, detecting lies, reading emotions, someone that's like really good with statistics. So YA, kind of Criminal Minds is what people say often, but I feel like just any crime type show, YA. And so it was really fun to just watch them enhance their skills, watch them problem solve different cases that they worked. They were really targeting cold cases, was like the ultimate goal of the program, but obviously things are not always going to go as planned. So I love this series. It introduced me to Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which I absolutely appreciate, because let me get the next books. I already own the Inheritance games, but I read that immediately and absolutely fell in love. So I picked up the Hawthorne Legacy, the Final Gambit, and where'd it go? Oh, there we go. The Brothers Hawthorne? Yes. So I picked up these, and I have already read the Hawthorne Legacy. I need to read this next, and obviously the Brothers Hawthorne as well. But I love her writing. It is just so easy to read, so easy to get through. And it's the way she writes the chapters, it's so easy for me to just be like, okay, but I'll just read one more chapter. But then it's been an hour, and I keep saying that. So she's smart. She's smart. Okay. I feel like it's not a trilogy. I feel like it's a full-blown series. But the overall plot is that we have a high school student. Her name is Avery. Am I crazy? Yeah, no, that's her name. And all of a sudden she learns that she's inherited billions from essentially a stranger. She's like, I do not know Tobias Hawthorne. I do not who's this guy, right? Who's this guy? But the contingency is that she has to live in the Hawthorne manor, house, mansion, whatever, for 1 year with kind of the rest of the family, who probably thought they were getting the money. So they're equally confused, like, who's Avery? Why is she here? Why does she matter? And it's been such a fun story to unfold so far. I've loved books 1 and 2. I think I gave them 4 or 4.5 stars, and then I'll have Final Gambit next. Okay guys, we're getting there. Okay, just to kind of go with the books that like I've read. I think this is the last one. Yes. But I did go ahead and pick up the special edition of Fourth Wing. Guys, this holiday edition is just stunning. Okay, I can't get over it. I love how this looks. Next up, we have Divine Rivals. I cannot believe I haven't read this book yet, but I really want to, because the second book comes out in December, I think. So, yeah. Divine Rivals, I know it's like this fantasy romance as well, right? I think you're following 2 journalists who are kind of rivals, and I don't fully know. I think like she ends up writing letters, she believes, to like her brother and like mailing them, but they end up going to her arch rival, and like he's secretly writing back. But then like there's love, and then there's war, and then they have to figure out what to do. I just heard such amazing things. Like, this is also all over my Bookstagram. and I desperately need to read it because I posted it in a story or something, and like everyone was telling me like Divine Rivals, oh my god, you need to read that. So I know, I hear you, and I know. Next up, we have Right My Wrongs by Julian Font. He's actually local to OC, so it's been cool interacting with him and just learning more about an author's process in writing, kind of an element of behind the scenes. You should totally follow him on Instagram because he's really good about posting like prompts for writers, different information about his books and kind of a thought process behind it. And so that's where I learned more about him and the type of writing that he does. So with his books, if he's going to be writing about characters in any situation, like romance, not romance, whatever, then he wants them to be realistic to humanity and definitely showed characters being flawed. It's not going to be some light, fluffy situation. So I believe our main male character here, he is someone that is pretty free-willed. They're both songwriters and both like musicians in some way. And so he has just a very loose way of life, and he doesn't have a lot of possessions. Like he has his backpack and his motorcycle, and he's traveling across the country. She is someone that's very ordered and particular, and they are put together to work on an album, and you just have these two characters, flawed in their own ways, having to work together to write this album. And I think it's going to be a very interesting read, and I think just learning more about an author's view in writing the book and like their purpose in writing it always makes it more interesting to read. So he has a thriller coming out. He announced it finally on his Instagram. I think it comes out in beginning of 2024, and I beta read that, and it is such an amazing concept of a book. Like, I can't wait to read like the final version of it because I know he's continuously making changes to it as we speak. But just what I read, I was so interested, and so I can't wait for it to come out and actually talk with people about that book. So I think he has 2 books out right now. Check it out. Oh, I can tell you I got this one at Target, but I got Love Redesigned. Evidently, Target has a bonus content section. Love that. So, is it duo POV? Yes! Shut up. Okay, so it's by Lauren Asher. I really don't know the premise of this, but it's Lauren Asher, and it's a duo POV. Okay, that's all I need to know. And I know that it's a new release that just came out in November, I believe. So I know a lot of people have enjoyed this book, and that's enough for me. Another book that I was influenced by Bookstagram is The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. And so I don't really know what this is about, but I know so many people are loving it and recommending it. I think that it is fantasy, maybe romance too. I'm not entirely sure. But I know that it is a series. I think it's a continued series. Like I think only the first 3 books are out right now. I'm not exactly sure, but I bought it. Someone spoke really passionately about it, and here I am. Now this, I have to admit, I was pretty much influenced by one person, but it is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Overall, it got a lot of hype, but I follow her actual username, I think is tks.library on Instagram, but her name's Taylor, and she loves this book, raves about it any chance that she gets, and like that's the type of passion you want for someone in a book. So I know that Sarah Caroli has also talked about it a lot, and I know that I'm gonna love this book. Like I just know deep in my heart this book is going to ruin me in the best way, because anyone else that I've now seen like review it has just talked about like how amazing it is. So I definitely have high expectations, but at the same time, I'm pretty confident I'm gonna love this. We're almost done. Next up is Anatomy, a Love Story by Dana Schwartz. I heard Katie is reading on YouTube talk about this and read it. I think I watched her vlog when she read it, and she absolutely loved this book, and I think it's a duology at least. So this is book 1. I'm very excited to get into it. I don't know that much about it off the top of my head, and so I think I want to take that as a sign instead of like scouring my brain to remember. I just want to go into it relatively blind, but I just know that she's talked about this book, loved this book, and now I want to read it. The last book is Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. Now, I've heard a lot about this author. I haven't read anything by her. And what I don't know about this series is I know that this is book 1, but I don't know if it's like interconnected standalones or if it's truly a series. I'm not sure. I think it's Block Shot just came out, and then more I think are coming out. I don't know, but this one, it is in the world of NBA. It's in the world of basketball. Guys, if you don't know, like that was my entire life as a child, and honestly, into college and still now, I talk about it all the time, but I mean, I played my entire life up until college, so it's just, I don't know how I haven't read more basketball romances, but these two, they met at a bar one night, I think after they've graduated, maybe, and sparks fly. There's definitely chemistry, but she's already in a relationship with this guy's like arch rival in the sports world. So they go on their separate ways. He goes into the NBA. He's now building his life of fame and wealth and, you know, doing the things basketball stars do. And then is there a trash can outside? I mean, a trash truck, whatever. I'm going to finish this. We're going to get through this because I can't wait. But she is now still in this relationship, and it becomes, I guess, toxic. Like, it's just not a healthy thing behind the closed doors, but she is having this very public relationship over the years with her boyfriend. I think they're just boyfriend, girlfriend. I'm not sure. And so she's battling that, and her and the main male character here, I think, have paths crossed and re-entering lives, all that stuff. So I don't know more beyond that, but I think that's kind of what's discussed on the back as well. So I'm excited to dive into this. This will be my first like basketball sports romance for sure. And depending on when I read the hockey ones, maybe my first ever sports romance, which is just, oh no, I read the cheat sheet. Read the cheat sheet and loved it. So, okay. Katie Ryan, let's see what you got. That was a lot of books. 30 books later, and we did it. Please let me know if you have read any of these books that you think I need to prioritize reading first. And obviously, always let me know recommendations that you guys have. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.